Chang. Welcome to UCTC360. Thank you for joining us. Today we continue with the second part of the trip that Tzu Chi Collegiate Youths, or Tzu Chings, made from the US to volunteer in South Africa. For many years, South Africa had been burdened with apartheid, a legal racial segregation system that became defunct in 1994. But even though apartheid has ended more than a decade ago, the South African government is still battling with poverty and social inequality. The annual Human Development Report commissioned by the United Nations also indicates that South Africa has one of the largest income disparities in the world, with more than 45% of the total population living below the poverty line. This great sense of helplessness was evident to the young volunteers, and they quickly realized how fortunate their lives are back home in the US. The Tzu Chings were told before boarding their plane in Johannesburg that it was in Durban their working journey would truly begin. They were picked up at the airport by Durban Tzu Chi volunteers and welcomed warmly. The 24 college students were then split up into smaller groups in order for it to be easier for the host families to accommodate them. The kindness of the host families was everywhere and immediately made the Tzu Chings feel welcome and excited. The beauty of Durban's beachfronts seems strangely at odds with the poverty of the country's other half. In an upscale area facing the warm Indian Ocean, luxury hotels favored by international tourists line the beachfront. These scenes in Durban would not seem out of place in Europe or the United States. It was in Mlazi, 30 minutes away, that Tzu Chi volunteers from two sides of the world met up again. Gladys and Tolakili were both all smiles at seeing familiar Tzu Chi faces from the United States. The Durban Tzu Chi volunteers held a mixer for the Tzu Chings as well as for the local volunteers who knew little about the United States. The UCTC360 episode about Gladys and Tolakili's journey to America was shown, and stories were exchanged.
And everything for those who were victims of violence.
To prepare for the youth assembly.
Others, they phone me, my volunteers, Granny, we didn't see such things. We didn't believe that you were there at USA. Now we believe. You told us they are obeying, they accommodate you, very nice. Now we saw them, they are obeying. Now we're going to do as they are doing. All the way from there, they know Zulu now. And also they say, Sanbonani. Now, they said, how they know Zulu? It's touching, although we are different languages, but with that great love, we're trying to connect each other. We even try to talk Zulu. They were so grateful, our people there, when they sang Sanbonani and singing Chigelele. Oh, it's marvelous.
Chinese music was then shared. Hong Tong-hui, a Tzu Ching who is working on her PhD in music, played a song on the erhu called Bird Song. The Tzu Chings as a whole performed the chicken dance for the South African volunteers, along with the popular Tzu Chi sign language song about love and courage. The local Durban volunteers were encouraged to join in, and soon all were dancing together hand in hand. These Durban volunteers regularly hold tea parties, not only explaining Tzu Chi's works and promoting community activism, but also encouraging self-sufficiency via work training. These seminars empower women and others who are disadvantaged, who usually aren't encouraged to pick up salable skills. The Durban volunteers often make most of their time and combine seminars with the opportunity to feed the local orphans. The Tzu Ching were able to participate as well.
Right now we are serving food to some of the orphans here. We prepared the instant rice ourselves, but some of the local volunteers brought in vegetables as well as beans, and we made a meal together. And right now we prepared it and we're helping distribute it and spending time with the orphans.
Caring for orphans not only happens in schools, but also in local villages, where seminars raising community awareness takes place.
So we are going to be giving the orphans 3 crayons, a highlighter, a book, and a toothbrush.
The care packages include not only a handmade pencil case, but a handwritten note of well wishes and a love from a Tzu Chi volunteer in the U.S. It was a delight to see the smiles on the children's faces.
And Pops chose breakfast.
I just want them to smile. I want them to laugh. I want, in that moment, to let them forget the pain and suffering that they go through for 24 hours a day, that 30 minutes that we're there, that they can at least get a pinch of the happiness that they had at some point in their life.
When in season, the vegetables that feed the orphans and the sick are grown by the volunteers themselves.
That one is an onion. That one is a cabbage. And there's a cabbage. And there is another cabbage too. And here, spinach and beetroot just shooting up.
These dedicated volunteers grow the vegetables with no funds, despite their own very tragic and violence-ridden past, only wishing to help others.
We realize that Tzu Chi is always thinks about long-term goals, and one of the biggest long-term goals that separates Tzu Chi from any other NGO is that when we go to countries and we set up and we give out supplies. Not only do we give supplies, we try to inspire the people who live there to build a community, to build a foundation. So when we leave and we're not there to help anymore, there will be someone there. There will be some, remnants of Tzu Chi behind, some sort of ideals instilled into people, and they will help each other. And that is how you, build great nations, how countries become third to first. You have to have a community willing to help out, to serve their community, to better themselves, and also to better the people around them. And Tzu Chi, I believe, is that exact ideal, and they're doing a great job, and I'm just glad to be part of it.
The Zulu are the largest single ethnic group in South Africa and live predominantly in the KwaZulu-Natal province. The Zulu women are best known for their beadwork and basketry. The women also have considerable financial influence within the family. However, one of the setbacks they've been struggling with is the obtainment of greater economic opportunities. A survey conducted by Statistics South Africa showed that 45% of all female-headed households live below the lower bound poverty line. Fortunately, some of the Zulu women have become self-sufficient thanks to the skill training centers set up by Tzu Chi in the early 1990s. The Zulu women have used the tools and materials provided by Tzu Chi to sew and then sell the garments they make to earn a living. For the young volunteers, home visitation stuck in their minds the most because they had thought they'd be mentally prepared for the sights and smells. Nevertheless, they quickly overcame their reservations and dove into the hands-on work. KwaZulu-Natal seems at first glance to be a heavenly place, full of greenery in comparison to Johannesburg, with the mild climate and piercing blue skies. But for the people living there, it is often hell. It's not unusual to find 3 families stuck in a 4-room shelter. Falling ill makes the suffering unspeakably worse.
The house just to be in was painful, and I remember just first stepping in there, I was telling myself I could do it. You know, I'll just champ it through. You know, I'll be fine. It's just a smell. I can handle this. And I was standing there with my mask on, with my gloves on, and I had like a box of supplies that we were about to start cleaning them. And I stepped into like I guess another 3 steps into the room, and I felt like the smell would just get worse and worse as I kept moving closer and closer. And of course that's obvious, but at one point I stopped and I just turned around and I walked out and I took a fresh breath of air and I just realized like that I guess I just really couldn't do it, and like I wasn't prepared myself, mentally prepared to physically clean that person or like I guess do a good deed that day.
The Zulu volunteers that have been in the local area have definitely been inspiring. No matter how sick the patient was, or people would talk about HIV, for example. The taboo is essentially never get near that person, stay as far away as you can. But all the volunteers were just getting hands-on experience and being very respectful, but also taking as much care as they could of the patients.
The ill sometimes suffer in pain and darkness for years because of fear, lack of attention, or lack of medical knowledge and money. Many types of illnesses were seen due to conditions such as stroke, injury, cancer, or AIDS.
I'm not sure what her condition was exactly, but she was having a lot of trouble standing on her feet, so she had been bedridden for the majority of about a year, unable to get up. Her by one arm, another arm, and we just picked her up, and little by little we walked over from her room outside. But when she got out in the sun, really was able to soak in the rays, you could just see that she was so happy. She was kind of sitting there and wasn't saying very much, but just little by little, she was just saying thank you, and she started to cry, and that was one of those moments again that just made everything worthwhile in coming here. So.
I'm so glad. I see the doctors like angels. I've got a hope that I'm going to be all right.
We hope you feel better, and you're always in our hearts. So please get well soon.
Although we're far away, we love you and we care for you.
I was worried about these young people, about them. Maybe sometimes if they see these very sick patients, maybe they will be so scared. But instead, they give more great love to our patients. They were not so scared, although they saw very bad situation patients. They don't fright. When we do washing, they wash more than we do. When we massaging, they massage more than we do. They just grab everything what we do.
In the United States, everybody says AIDS is something really scary, that you will get infected, and then once you get infected, it's like you are going to die very soon. I was scared when we visit other clients. It's like I just go and I kind of forgot about the scariness. Yeah, but
No, I don't think it's anything. I mean, they have more suffering than us, yeah.
We saw a 25-year-old female. She's HIV positive. Seems like she had peritonitis or infection of her stomach. Well, they said that she's been having symptoms for the past 3 weeks. I can't imagine how it would feel like to have that pain for 3 weeks. I wanted to give her something for her high fever, but I didn't know her medical history, what she was allergic to, and I couldn't really give her anything for her stomach, even a vapor rub, because in her weakened state, I don't know if that's suggested. Do this so her legs can be bent. Her muscles will push the blood back up also. I just felt, I wanted to do more for her. I wanted to, you know, take this discomfort away, but I can't. And I mean, this is the best that we can do over here. That means her circulation isn't well down here.
I don't know. I've never seen him in that light before because I know him so well. I've known him since he was a high school student, and seeing him yesterday, you know, showing so much love and compassion and care, it just moved me, and I know that he'll be such a great doctor because he has so much kindness in him, and that made me so proud.
What can a handful of Tzu Chings truly bring to the devastating conditions of South Africa? They participated with South African volunteers as they went, rain or shine, to the homes of the ill of their communities. With local volunteers, the Tzu Ching brought love not only to those in need, but also giving health knowledge and a sense of community to the people as a whole. One person or one organization alone cannot change a community's circumstances, nor should it. To maintain the community's own sense of purpose, pride, and culture, the local people must step forward on their own to take care of the disadvantaged amongst them. Before, this 4-year-old with birth defects might have been left for dead, but instead, Kuni has become a rallying point for the community and now inspires love, compassion, and gratefulness. In the end, these are only a few of the emotions and lessons that the Tzu Chings have gained. Some are unquantifiable and immeasurable, but hopefully not fleeting.
You know, I wish that, you know, the feelings that instilled in us here, the things that we've learned, will not wither away after a year, will not wither away after 2 years, that we'll like remember it forever, and will, you know, help make my decisions and make me into a better person, I would say. Stop taking things for granted, and no matter what situation you're in, you should always look forward. Like, people here live in such desperate conditions, and, you know, I realize how many things that people take for granted in the States and how many people take for granted all over the world, and people have to learn to share and like how to better themselves and help with the community. And it's not about yourself, it's about the human race and helping each other and spreading love to the world.
Out of all the provinces in South Africa, KwaZulu-Natal has the highest HIV prevalence. Furthermore, 2.5 million children in South Africa are orphaned because their parents died from AIDS. However, UNIFEM, or the United Nations Development Fund for Women, has reported that women acting as the primary caregiver of HIV and AIDS-affected households can diminish the negative economic and social consequences of AIDS. To help the women and children fighting against the plight of poverty and AIDS, Tzu Chi volunteers in the U.S. have been promoting the Power of Five, a movement which you can be a part of by donating just $5 each month. Because with $5, you can help feed the 5,000 AIDS orphan children that Gladys and the other Zulu Women volunteers are taking care of in South Africa. segment Footprints, we introduce you to a young married couple, Peter, Lin and Joanne Chang, who enjoy participating in Tzu Chi together because they share common interests in Buddhism and volunteerism. Their love of helping others in need has taken them to 3 provinces in China as well as Haiti for international relief work. However, for Peter and Joanne, their most recent trip to South Africa was the experience of a lifetime. So let's now see why they consider the Zulu volunteers to be great teachers.
The only thing that comes to my mind all the time is just do it. I knew Tzu Chi since high school, which is probably over almost 20 years. Right now I'm a Tzu coordinator. I host like all different activities with them alone or with adults.
I'm a psychologist, so part of my job in New York is hoping to promote mental health issues among the immigrants. I learned about Tzu Chi from my mom really when I was in junior high. When I really got into Tzu Chi is probably in 1999, around the same time when we joined the Tzu Ching. But my other job I do a lot is the photography work at this moment. I do a lot of 3-in-1 photos for our New York media team.
Well, one thing that gives me most of the motivation and energy is international relief. For the past 5 years we've been going to China, Jiangxi, Gansu, Guizhou, Haiti, and Sichuan, and also South Africa, where we are right now.
So international relief is something that really helped me a lot because you get to see a lot of suffering, and that is the motivation of turning the suffering into wisdom and compassion that can be used on others. And also as a psychologist, I'm always interested in how to bring the mental health aspect to the international relief work, and hopefully I can do that for the team in the very near future.
Peter and Joanne were very moved by the Zulu volunteers' compassion in embracing the sick elderly care recipients and orphans as if they were their own family members. If time permits, the young couple definitely hopes to return to the Rainbow Nation one day and visit the new friends they have made there. Peter also says one thing he would do differently the next time is that he would like to share his mental health knowledge with the local volunteers so that they are better informed. Peter was also very happy to share the beautiful and touching photos he captured during the trip with us. We leave you with some of those now. I am Ginger Chang. Thank you for watching UCTC360, and I'll see you next week.